happened to that? So today's practice, we're going to be looking at kind of low energy, which we feel a lot anyway at this time of the year, purely because, you know, it's darker times and our whole body is geared up to working in a different way when it's darker. So there's less light, which again sometimes brings on things like SAD, you know, seasonal affective disorder, I think is the proper name for it. But you know, where you feel you need more light and things like that. Obviously, with lots of things that have gone on this year, people have found that they're under quite a lot of stress. There's a lot of uncertainty as well. You know, we're seeing in the papers a lot, this is changing, you know. The retail business is looking at everything going on, so there's this kind of jumble. So thinking of it around that and thinking of, you know, all this kind of sort of different messages and stuff like that, it's completely understandable that we're going to feel tired and that we're going to feel kind of like, what next? So today we're going to look at the postures and the practices that can help when you don't feel like doing much, but equally then how that can begin to shift and change. Okay, so we're going to begin lying in child's pose. I'm not even going to play any music today, because if people then want to re-practice this, I'm going to put it on YouTube. If people then want to re-practice this, play their own music, whatever they want to, brilliant. But equally, sometimes the music can distract us. So we're going to come into child's pose now. And I really do encourage you, more so because you're at home and you will probably have things like cushions and stuff close to you. How could you be comfortable in child's pose, but equally finding that balance of not slumping into the pose, yeah? So we're coming forward, we're resting down. If it's hard to get the head onto the ground, which is what we want, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but if it's hard to get the head on the ground, use the hands, or if you have got a block, I'm going to let you use a block, yeah? Anything which brings the head to the ground has a grounding effect, which is why headstand is such a beneficial pose when you're feeling, it's probably the last thing in the world you feel like doing when the energy is low and things, but it's such a beneficial pose. So anything that we can create like that without going into the full posture is really good, okay? So coming in like this, yeah? So the back of the neck is long. Again, if you have no problem bringing the head down to the ground, then go with it. As you're here, bring the awareness from the crown deep into the base of the tail. From the crown, from the top of the head, deep into the base of the tail. If the hips start talking to you, can you come back to the feet? Can you go a little more into the little toe, into the big toe to spread you outwards through the hips? If the feet and the knees start talking to you, come up. Maybe even go back a little through one knee, back a little through the other knee, and come back into child's pose. But if you need to do that, you keep the head low. Yep, you keep the head nice and low. So we're coming up really, really slowly. Then from here, we're going to come up into a very low all fours. Yeah, so you're going to keep the arms on the ground, the lower arms on the ground, and you're going to lengthen forward through the belly. Go forward a little bit more through the hands. Now, can you feel that the pelvis just rests on top of the thighs? You're not tensing, you're not holding, you're letting the spine rest on top of the arms to find and to let the head rest on top of the spine, yeah? So the arms and the legs support the spine, and then the head can be supported by the spine. That's it. It's all you need to do. Breathing in and breathing out. Again, if you felt that the energy was really low, There's no reason why, if you had like a low footstool, maybe even a gym ball would be brilliant for this, one of those inflatable balls, that you could eventually let yourself roll over. You could have it inflated really low to just rest here, so you have that full support, yeah? Breathing in, breathing out. And then after a little while here, you're going to come up to all fours. Again, the gaze is down towards the ground, yeah? So you're really focused on how you're using the head, relaxing into the elbows, softening into the knees. Okay, you're not using the yoga today to kind of think, oh, I'm going to strengthen my thighs or anything like that. You're using the yoga today to come inwards, to really, really nourish. Okay, now you're going to start coming forward. So this is where the chair can be useful, yeah? So you could, if you wanted to, have the chair here, and then as you came up, you could come into Uttanasana from here. You could come down onto your lower arms. Ideally, you would want to come to here, okay? As you can see, the legs don't need to be long. The head is still descending down to the ground to give you that sense of bringing the crown down, the inversion, yeah, the turning everything upside down on its head. Ideally, you want to be here for 4 minutes, okay? We're probably going to do about 2 minutes today. I've come onto the backs of my fingers purely because to be like that for a little while, unless you can really keep coming through the arms, which can feel like quite hard work, you start pushing down through the fingers. Here, you've got more support through the arms, through the fingers coming up into the arms. Start resting into the heels. And again, you're not looking to get that sort of real strong movement. You're thinking about how the feet and the hands can feel a contact into the ground and come up through the arms, up through the legs to simply support the spine. Now bring the awareness to your head and to your neck. Think about how you're holding your head and your neck. Are you holding your head and your neck? Some of you won't be. Some of you will be able to just let, and you'll know, because here at the back of the skull, if you're holding the head and the neck, you're going to do that and it's going to get fatigued, yeah? If you can bring it on top of the spine, you're going to feel a length here underneath the skull, underneath the bottom of the base of the skull, the bottom of the skull, the occipital bones. And the throat will feel open, yeah? If you're here, your throat's going to feel closed. If you're here, your throat's going to feel pushed. So you're looking for that happy medium, okay? Breathing in and breathing out. We've probably been here for about 2 minutes now. So now what you're going to do is you're going to come into squat pose, okay? So you're going to very gently bend your knees. You're going to keep your feet on your hands on the ground as well. And just simply bring the fingers back a little bit so you've got support. Now you might want to go on to the fingertips. So why are we doing this? We're doing this now because in essence we're beginning to bring the spine and the head up, but to come up from being in Uttanasana for a long time, for me I feel it brings up, it can bring up a bit of dizziness, which again you don't want. Here is good because you're connecting down through the base. So here you've got your root chakra and your sacral chakra. And these two chakras are about your security and your stability. So as much as we want to clear the head stuff, we want to feel really nice and supported here. So squat, again, is a very good pose. It's not a huge energetic pose. It's a hard work pose, but it's not, you're not trying to balance, you're not trying to do anything like that. You can make it a lot easier for yourself, yeah? And again, if you've got the chair here, you might want to use the chair to bring you up if the energy is really, really low. If not, come back into Uttanasana, yeah? So go down through the heels to lift you up, to think about the connection from the tail into the head, how you're moving when you do that. Let's do that again. Come down. So as the tail goes down, feel the balance that gives through the spine, and you can start to come up through the crown of the head a little bit more. Yeah. Then go back down through the heels, come forward through the spine, really, really slowly. Yeah. I might even be going a bit fast for you today. Take a breath in and up you come. Now that little movement backwards and forwards in squat pose has actually lifted your heart. Yeah. Which, as it says, is heart lifting, yeah? And bring the hands together in Namaste. This movement, yeah, when the energy is low, can really take it out of you. So come and bring the hands on your heart. 2 reasons. Rest the shoulders. If we're feeling a bit icky, the shoulders can come up round by the ears. If you're here, you're going to rest them down, yeah? You're going to take a baby step back, yeah? And just let the front knee bend as much as it is. So you're in warrior 1, but we're not going for a huge energetic warrior 1. Feel the feet come into the ground. Feel that lift up through the chest, through the heart, but it's coming up from the legs, yeah? You're not going to consciously go and lift yourself up, yeah? You're just feeling that connection down from the feet, up through the legs, like you're rolling on the biggest, longest pair of socks that are going to come right up to your waist. I guess we'd call them tights, really. All the way up. And then you're going to simply just let the heart lift. You might even want to do this, yeah? This is good if you have a tendency to want to go and push yourself into it, because this softens, yeah? We can't touch each other, we can't hug each other at the moment. So this is a nice sense of touch, yeah? This just gives you this warmth. And then, you know, you could think about, could you let the breastbone relax a little more into the hands? If you have got a hand here, you're coming into diaphragm territory. So again, quite nice if the diaphragm's tight to soften it, yeah? And then come forward. Okay, come back now with the right foot, and again, it doesn't need to be a big step, and this is the thing with yoga, if we're not careful, we go into thinking it needs to be a big movement, it needs to be a full practice, it needs to be, you know, really like dynamic. No, it doesn't. You'll get much more out of doing the posture smaller because you'll be more focused. Hand onto the heart, maybe even hand onto the belly. So you're feeling that the tailbone can release right down to the ground and the heart and the chest can lift up. Breathing in, breathing out. Maybe after a little while here you feel, okay, I could go a little bit more into that front foot. I could go down a little bit more into that back heel. And then how does that begin to change the posture? Relax the shoulders, breathing in and breathing out. And then step forward to come out. Okay? You're going to come to use the chair if you've got a chair. If you haven't, bring your hands onto your shins, but if you've got a chair or a surface, even if you've got the sofa, turn around and use the sofa and come to here. Yeah? So you're practicing a forward bend, you're practicing a downward dog pose, you're practicing a lot of postures, but you're simply using the chair, okay? Again, it's a really good way to rein yourself in. So if you know that you push a lot in postures, really good way to go, okay, I can't push in dog here because I can't push in my arms, but I can focus on my legs, I can focus on coming up through the backs of the heels, into the backs of the thighs, into my little toes to bring me into my hips. So maybe I can lose some of that tightness around the hips that tension might be giving me. Then from here, let's bring a step back with the left foot. Now that might feel, hey, that's too far back. So come forward, coming a little bit more forward to the chair. Don't take as big a step back. Breathing in and breathing out. So you've got Parsvottanasana, okay? And then you could bring that into Trikonasana. You could keep the left hand on to the sacrum, and then you could come around like that, and that might be the pose. Movements that you're using the spine in the same way where we went from squat to uttanasana, where you've got that movement through the spine, are very good. I'm going to come around the other way to come into a light little reverse trikonasana. Because you've got to think as well of the energy in the spine. You know, we talked about the chakras, we talked about the base a little bit. Come back to the centre. But there's also an energy flow through the spine which we want to nourish. So step forward, come back with the other foot, do all the same again. Coming in, and you know what, if you're practicing this at home, if you're coming back to it, if you're revisiting it, this might be enough. You know, these kind of sort of 10-15 minutes might be enough for you just to let the body kind of move and warm up, come back to the next part of it later, etc., etc. Bring the hand onto the sacrum. Next thing we're going to start looking at is the sort of lower energy sun salutation. Come back, bring the hand. And then you see how you can come into that reverse trikonasana with very, very little strong movement, yeah? But you've still got all the awareness, the body is still doing the pose, but it's very supported. And then come back. Step forward, so you're really in the base, and come up and up and up. You know, you could come up through the chair like that. These are also really good ways to practice posture. You know, if you've done anything to the body, yeah, if you've pulled something, if it's not feeling so, you know, if you've gone for a long walk and you're tired, you can always use these. You're going to come to the wall now. If you've got a wall, if not, you're going to use the chair. We're going to practice tree pose, and then again, we're going to start on the sun salutation. So if you've got a chair, you're going to use the back of the chair like this, yeah, to support you. If you've got a wall, you're going to be about half a foot away from the wall. Okay, so I'm going to do it on the chair. So you're going to pretend that this back of the chair would be part of the wall. What you're going to do is you're going to bring your left hand around onto the wall. So from the front, it's going to look like that, and you're just going to get that movement back through the shoulder blade. Okay, so why are we doing this? Well, we know that from the warrior, the opening of the shoulder blades helps to lift the heart, helps to create space in the diaphragm. Okay, the hand will rest to come back up through the arm to bring you into the shoulder. So you could feel straight away, and again, listen to it. If it feels too much, lessen it. Move back into the wall. You're now going to come up with your left foot. So it's the same arm as the bent knee. Bring the foot onto the shin, open outwards. Now it's the same time that you're opening outwards. Depending on how you feel, what's the energy like, the more you can bring the hand into the wall, the more opening you're going to get through the shoulder, and the more lift you're going to get up through that left side of the body, which will have a tendency to want to slump in tree pose. Now you're going to stand down further and further into the right foot. Really bring the right foot into the ground. So you're coming up through the left, coming up through the right. Breathing in and breathing out. And then let the arm come down. Let yourself balance for a moment. Bring the foot down. Yeah. Do it on the other side. So coming in on the other side. So again, you're bringing the arm back, the shoulder back to come in, sort of about there. So the shoulder blade is rolling back. So you're moving from deep in here to get the arm to open, yeah, to get the shoulder to open, to start finding that space, yeah. So same hand. If you feel, oh, I really want to open out through here, and you can keep that lift up, yeah, you could bring it back, but as long as you're not starting to go into a push, yeah. Up with the right foot, foot onto the shin, opening out. So again, you've got a way of supporting, but equally you're finding a way of opening. Yeah, let the tail go down, 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 down towards the ground. Strong in the left foot, breathing in and breathing out. So you're still keeping a lightness across the top of the body. Good. Now free up the arms, stay in the tree pose for a moment, and bring the foot down to the ground. So the balancing poses, especially where you can have a bit of support, very good for the concentration. Pop the chair out of the way. Now we've moved a little bit, we're going to have a look at our lower energy sun salutation. So you're just going to let the thumbs come onto the crown of the head. So why do we want to do something like a sun salutation when we're feeling low and tired and, you know, let's be honest, can't be asked. So the sun salutation brings us into every chakra in the body. And that's why we want to do it, to wake up the chakras, to give us that energy to shift. So come to here rather than feeling you've got to lift up. Use the feet. Make it easier for the body. Connect down into the feet so you come up through the legs, up through the spine. Breathe out, fold forward. You've done Uttanasana already. Okay, from here now you're going to bring the hands onto the ground. We are going to step back into a lunge pose, but so we can bring the knee down to the ground, yeah? And then you're going to bring the hands back onto the heart and lift the heart up into the hands, let the shoulder blades ease down the spine. Then you're going to come back onto the ground. You're going to come back into child's pose to begin with, yeah? Rest back in child's pose, straight into child's pose. Breathing in and breathing out. Could you let the forehead come onto the ground? Come up into all fours. Okay, rather than going forward into cobra, you're going to come into cat and cow. So you're going to release down through the spine. That's what you do anyway to come into cobra. And then you're going to come forward with the chest, forward with the heart, ease the shoulder blades back into the spine. Do that again. Come back into cobra. Back into cat pose, beg my pardon. And then come forward with the chest, forward with the heart. Think about how you just use the shoulder blades and the arm to support you in that tree pose. Good. Now come back into your neutral spine, come back into child's pose, breathe. Rest in child's pose. You might find now that the head's coming down to the ground much more easier, breathing in and breathing out. Come up into all fours, but keep coming back into the feet so you can loosen all the muscles around the thighs and the hips, yeah? Take a step forward with the left foot, bring the hands onto the heart, come up through the spine, breathing in and breathing out, going down through the tail, lifting up through the chest, through the heart. So now you're getting this space in here. Come forward, hands onto the ground, step forward into your forward bend. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's have a little dangle here to come out. So come up vertebra by vertebra, going down into the heels, going down through the tailbone, stacking one on top of each other, coming up through the chest, through the heart, spreading down through the sole of the foot, out through the arms, and bring the hands together in Namaste. Let's do that once more. Thumbs come onto the crown of the head, lift up through the crown. Breathe out, fold forward. Step back with the right foot, not to come into a big lunge, but to be able to bring the knee down, bring the hands onto the heart, lift the heart up. Breathe out, fold. Come back into child's pose. Rest in child's pose, breathing in, breathing out. Start noticing now how the energy is beginning to feel, yeah? Up you come into all fours. For me now, there's sort of getting a sense of, well, I've moved a bit. I feel I could go and do a bit more now. Let's come into cat pose. So 2 cat and cow poses to lengthen and open the back. Come forward with the chest, forward with the heart. So something's sort of beginning to shift a bit. You know, I've lengthened the spine. Come back into cat pose. And come forward with the chest, forward with the heart. Good, now come back into child's pose. Okay, so we're using child's pose today in a way that we may use dog pose to lengthen the spine, to get the space into the spine. Breathing in and breathing out. And then to come up into all fours, really start going down into the front of the foot. So you come up and you come forward with the right foot. Bring the hands onto the heart. Again, you're using the foot. Make it easy for the body. Use the feet. Come up through the spine. Come forward. Bring the hands onto the ground so you come into your Uttanasana. Bend the elbows.
Relax the elbows, find space in the back of the spine, begin to let the tail lengthen down to the ground, come up vertebra by vertebra. Breathing in and breathing out. Up and up and up, down and down and down through the tail, through the asana. All the way up. Let the arms go out. Don't worry about lifting them right up above the head. Let the arms go out. Bring the hands together in Namaste. Okay, now we're going to go back to the warrior pose. Come back with the left foot. Maybe now we want to start coming back a little bit more. There's a little bit more energy. Breath comes in, bring the hands onto the heart, but now start focusing on what's going on here and here, so we can start coming into the diaphragm. And again, if you want to use the back of the arm, on the back of the chest, underneath the rib cage, just let yourself lift up a bit, release down through the shoulders, breathing in and breathing out. This might be the warrior pose. Bring the hands onto the heart. Be honest with yourself, think, yeah, there's a bit more energy going on. Could you come up with the arms? If you wanted to, bring the thumbs onto the crown of the head. We're not going to let the arms come all the way up just yet. If you're bringing the arms onto the crown of the head, you're going to focus on the upper elbow here. And you're going to let that lift forward and up. And when that lifts forward and up, it opens the armpit, but then you're going to let the upper arm rest back into the shoulder. So now here really starts to wake up, yeah? So that movement again, you go forward and up, yeah? But then you're going to let the upper arm rest back into the shoulder socket. Breathing in, breathing out. Strong in the feet, strong in the feet, strong in the feet. Up through the crown. Remember the back of the neck lengthens, yeah? The head, the crown, the skull sits on top of the spine, yeah? It doesn't lean forward, doesn't tip back. Bring the hands down. Okay, step forward, come back on the other side. So you can start to feel how you could do a posture in many different ways. Let's come up, let's do a little bit of this, lengthening us through the spine. So you get that lift up and up and up. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's start with the hands on the heart. How does that feel? It's a bit more energy and movement in the body. Into the feet, finding that into the upper arm and then down. Breathing in and breathing out. So really thinking about, if you're here, how you're using the arm. Yeah, and now come to what the little finger is doing. Could you go up and away through the little finger? And then let the arms come down and step forward. Let's come back into Trikonasana. So come back now, and again, you know, you can always come back to using the chair. Come back with the foot. How far it feels comfortable for you. This always tends to, you know, make it feel like a big sweeping movement. So perhaps keeping it a little smaller. Bring the hands onto the sacrum. Feel that the sacrum, the tail could release down. How this gives you a little lift up through here. Now come forward. Forward, forward, forward. So you're using Trikonasana to lengthen the spine. But then you're also using the Trikonasana to rotate the spine, okay? All of the chakras, the energy centers in the body, come on the spine. So by moving the spine, by moving the body, you're awakening them, yeah? Breathing in and breathing out. Now, if you think that might feel, no, that's a bit woo-woo, think about, if you've got sort of a bit of anatomical knowledge, plexuses in the body, so centers of nerves, yeah, your endocrine system, where your reproductive system is, your urinary system, your circulation, all of those different systems, yeah, because a lot of the stuff, we'll call it, is where the chakras are, yeah, so there is a correlation between the Western and the Eastern. Come back to the centre, hands onto the sacrum, up you come through the spine. So through those movements, you're waking up. If you want to think about it from your Western anatomical perspective, step forward like you're walking, you're waking all of that up, which is going to make the body feel better,
yeah? Up through the spine, up and up and up, come forward and over. Let the left hand come onto the shin and rotate out through the rib cage. So from here, by getting that movement in the rib cage, I'm opening through the ribs, I'm getting more breath into the body, which would bring me into the heart chakra, yeah? So I've got more breath in the body straight away. Here, there's movement here in the hips and in the pelvis, you know, where the belly is, where the digestion is, where the reproductive is, where the urinary is. So again, that's going to help all of the systems there to wake up and to function a little bit better. See, I'm not bringing the arm up today because I just want to let the shoulder rest back and open gently. And then back and around you come. Good. Up you come with the arms, step forward. Let's do another little sun salutation. Come up through the spine, breathe out, this time all the way down into Uttanasana. Step back with the left foot, stay here for a moment. Strong in the front foot, up through the heel, bring the knee down to the ground. Round the spine to open the back of the body like you were in cat pose. Come up through the arms. You don't need to bring them unless they want to go all the way around, let them. But if you feel it's still a bit like, oof, just let them come around to come onto the heart, yeah? And then could you bring the spine forward? So you're quite strong in that front foot as you come forward. Bring the hands onto the ground. Feel that you could go down and down into the hands, bring the front of the back foot onto the ground, go more and more into the front foot so you're getting some nice length through the back of the leg, okay? And that's where we're going to keep it for the dog pose, breathing in and breathing out. So you've got that movement here and you've got the length through the legs. Now go back into all fours, come back into child's pose, breathing in, breathing out. Now you're going to slide forward onto your lower arms. Keep the lower arms on the ground, but come more forward so that you can curl the toes under and now go back through the hips, back through the tail. Little finger, thumb, elbow coming into the ground. So you're coming into puppy pose. Again, very much in dog territory, but not as strenuous. Breathing in and breathing out. Keep coming into the hands, the little fingers, the thumb, and come forward now with the chest, with the heart. Go down into the arms so you feel a movement up through the spine. Good. Now come all the way back into child's pose. Come up into all fours, come forward with the left foot. Round the spine, bring the arms forward. Come up through the chest, through the heart, bring the hands onto the heart, come all the way up with the arms. Really come into what's needed. Fold forward. Bring the hands onto the ground, go forward a little bit more through the knee. You can always bring the foot a bit more forward. In the back foot, you're in the little toe, you're in the big toe, you're lifting the spine forward off of the hips. It's like a lunge pose, but you don't have to worry about balancing on balls of feet or anything like that. And you've got a bit of that dog movement in the spine coming in. Now here's a bit where, we do need a bit of movement because you're going to curl the toes under and you're going to come up into your forward bend. Then again, you could relax the arms, come up nice and slowly, rolling into the heels. You might feel now that the arms at this stage, just the elbows want to come up, go out through the arms, bring the hands together. Good, let's go again. Breath comes in, bring the thumbs onto the crown of the head, come up into the upper elbow, lift up through the arm, lift the little finger so the hand is more engaged, then let the upper arm rest back into the shoulder socket. Breathing in and breathing out. Let the tail release down, lift up through the crown. Breathing in and breathing out. Fold forward. And again, you could have your chair here if you wanted to.
Step back with the right foot, so you could come down into your low lunge, round the spine, bring the arms forward, up through the foot. Bring the hands onto the heart, or go for that full movement if you feel, yeah, that's okay. Then you're going to come forward and down. You might even want to bring the knee back a little bit, go more and more into that front foot, so you could come forward through the breastbone. You've got the lift of the heart. You haven't got any of the strength needed in a lunge pose, any of the strength needed in dog pose, yeah? And then from here, come back into child's pose, rest. Breathing in and breathing out. Nice big deep breaths in and out. From here now, let's come into a cat and cow pose. So release round the spine. Come forward with the chest, forward with the heart, bring the shoulder blades back into the spine. Really begin to move forward through the spine. Bring the spine back into its neutral position, but keep that lift you found into the breastbone. Go down onto one arm, down onto the other arm. Keep that lift forward of the breastbone, curl the toes under, go back through the tailbone. Whole of the spine moves back. You know, that's what we feel we do when we come into a dog pose. Breathing in and breathing out. Little finger and thumb go into the ground. There's a light lift of the palm into the back of the hand to really open the armpit. Now take a big deep breath in. Let it go. Yeah, big deep breath in. Let it go. Big deep breath in. Let it go. Keep doing that. Notice with that big deep breath in, how the shoulder girdle broadens outwards because of the movement you've had through your ribs, and when you breathe out and you really let it go, there's a softening in the shoulders. Do it a couple of more times with your focus on your shoulders, your shoulder girdle, your armpits. Good, now come up into all fours, draw back through the hands, come forward with the right foot, strong into the feet, let the spine round. How's the shoulders feeling now? Maybe they want to come up, maybe now suddenly there's a bit of space there. They feel like they've done something, but all you've done is just channel your breath into that space. Bring the hands down. Maybe lift up through the back heel, bring the knee back a little bit, front of the foot onto the ground, go forward through the spine. Breathing in and breathing out. Go forward with the fingers, curl the back toes under. I want you to think about lifting this up into the hip as you come forward, so there is a lightness and a support. Let the arms dangle round up through the crown, coming up nice and slowly. So there is a gentleness about the whole of the movement and a nourishment from the whole of the movement. Go out through the arms, out through the arms, out through the arms. And bring the hands together in Namaste. Good. So we're going to start coming down, down, down. Now, if you are practicing this on as a video, what you could do is you might even just want to leave the practice there. Yeah, you might just want to leave the practice there, go on about your day, that might feel enough. If not, we're going to come down, we're going to come and look at, you know, sitting postures and things like that. So come into squat pose again. Now, equally, energy is low. Yeah, energy is low. But we do need to think about, you know, kind of bringing energy into the body. Those movements that we've just done will have done all of that, but we want to start getting the upper chakras moving a little bit more. So, fingertips are on the ground. If you feel squat is hard,
you can always take a support and pop it underneath your heels, yeah? And then maybe you could rest down through the heels. I quite like that sometimes because it makes me connect back deep into my tailbone, yeah, because I can do that. Okay, so sometimes that's quite nice. Equally, to practice squat with the spine into a wall is very, very good, because it gives you that support. It's also very good to do after, if you've been doing a big gardening session as well, and you know the back's tired, the energy's low, it's a good movement, okay? So we're coming into squat pose, and now what you're going to do is you're going to walk your hands around to the left side, but what I don't want you to do is make your knees go out to do that. So have a look at where the knees are. Try to keep them in line and coming forward as much as you can. Bring the fingertips around, so you're really coming into this space here. Now this is quite strong, this movement. Now the spine has rotated. Can you keep bringing the breastbone forward from where it is now? So you're not going to bring the spine around and think about the spine coming forward. The angle of where the breastbone is now, you're going to bring it forward from there, okay? That's going to start lengthening the whole of the right side of your waist. Okay, now can you relax that right hip down a little bit more? Come back and around, do it on the other side. Hands coming around to the right. Think about where the knees are, into the fingers, and your movement is forward through the breastbone. Keep trying to release into the hips. You want to release into both hips, but you'll probably find it easier to release down into that left hip. Forward through the breastbone, breathing in and breathing out. You could use a block underneath the hands if that felt easier. And then come back. Good. Bring the bottom down onto the ground. Come down however you feel you need to sit. We want to come around to bring the left foot on top of the right, yeah? And then you're going to come back into that twist to get us into here to start coming up through the upper spine. So the knees are coming forward. The right foot is on top of the left arch. Now, if that for any reason feels uncomfortable, you know, you could bring the feet out a little bit more. You could come to sit like that, but sometimes that even feels more stronger. Even though we use that as a mod, this feels a lot stronger. So if this feels okay, the left hip will be lifted. You're going to bring both of the hands around to the right, and can you feel that that right shoulder blade wants to move back in towards the spine? Okay, come back to the connection of the head and the breastbone, because remember the head's on top of the spine. So think about the nose in line with the breastbone, so that when you move, you're moving much more from here rather than simply spiraling the head and the neck around. So you've really got to shift into the spine, breathing in and breathing out. And then come back to the center. Bring the hands around behind you, bring the legs around the other way. Yeah, so you're going to go in, left leg's on the ground, right foot's on top, feet and arches into each other. Again, you know, if that feels really uncomfortable, bring the knees a little bit wider, come into this, although I think this is much stronger. You know, coming into here. Both of the hands come around. Once you start bringing the hands around, it feels easier. You could come onto the backs of the fingers if you're a bit like me and you start sort of wanting to push into the fingers. You could do that movement. You'll probably notice one side is harder to move as much, and that's okay. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Think about, you know, rather than letting this come up, think about releasing it down and down and down. And coming around and thinking about the nose and the breastbone. And then come back. Bring the hands around behind you, and then bring the legs, come to sit cross-legged just for a moment. We're going to come back into puppy pose now, okay? So you're going to come over the knees, or bring yourself into all fours, and bring the arms down onto the ground, and come back and back through the spine. Bring the knees back as much as you need to get that length into the spine. So now you're going to let the forehead rest on the ground, breathing in and breathing out. And really go back through the tailbone. So we're going to do a couple of things now, which is going to make the body feel that it's doing a headstand, but it's not doing a headstand. So you're going to go into the arms to come forward through the spine. Bring the knees in a little bit more. Bring the hands back and bring the crown of the head onto the ground. So the crown of the head. Now, because of how you're using the hands and you're using the arms, the weight through the head is very, very limited. Yeah, you're not pushing, grounding the head into the ground. You have your hands, you have your knees. You can curl your toes under if you feel that gives you more stability through your feet and through your legs. And again, you're thinking of what is going on here in the back of the head, yeah? If it's feeling blooming awful, have you sort of scrunched down and crunched the back of the neck, yeah? Can you come back into the hands to give you a lift back through the shoulders to begin to lengthen you through the head? When it feels enough, come back into child's pose. Now you have a sense of where the arms and everything should be to support you. You could begin to roll up from child's pose, not to the point that you're going to go too far forward so you push through the back of the head, and then come back down. And then gently coming back up. And then gently coming back down, and then rest, yeah, rest. Especially if you're new to this movement, rest. So what you're doing there is you're coming into the pituitary and the pineal glands, yeah, which really help the mind. Yeah, that's what you would do in a headstand. And you might even feel, whoa, you might even feel if you found the spot that does the massage on the pituitary and the pineal, you might sort of find that, way. But again, that is why you do a headstand, to just really help change the perspective. Another way you could also do a headstand would be to come into an elbow dog. So we're going to have a little look at it, because for some people, you know, the movement, you'll be wanting now to chomp at the bit and get on and do something, you know, a bit more of a bigger movement. So we'll look a little bit more at bigger movements. So I'm bringing my hands into a butterfly shape. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, in a butterfly shape, and going down into the hands and into the little finger and into the thumb. Yeah. And then from here, I'm going to curl the toes under and come up and up and up like that. Yeah, up and up and up like that. Breathing in and breathing out, going into the heels of the hands. So I've really worked and connected into the palm of the hand. Let the knees bend, come back down into child's pose, rest. And then come up through the crown of the head. So now, how does it feel? You've got that whole balance through the spine. Come around with the legs, come around to sit, noticing how it feels to sit. So no big sweeping movements apart from that last one, yeah? Noticing now how it feels to sit. Could you sit for a little while? Could you go into the little toes? Breathing in and breathing out. Could you go out through the fingertips, up through the palms, lengthening up and up and up? Has this given you a sense of space around through the spine and letting the shoulder blades release and breathe? If you can sit, all the better. If you can't sit, then let yourself lie down. When the mood's low, to sit and meditate is really, really hard work. It's what we need, but equally, if the mind is very distracted, if there's a lot of anxiety, to sit can be very, very hard. So, you know, going for a walk, doing a guided meditation could really help here. So let yourself lie down if you need to, if the body's feeling really tired. And as you lie down, bring the awareness to the breath. If you're still sitting and you're sort of not sure, you could use the wall, you could use the chair, whatever's needed, yeah. But let yourself sit, breathing in and breathing out. Or let yourself lie, whatever is needed. Notice how the breath is. Notice how the mind is. Stuff coming in, the to-do list, the jobs, life and laundry list. So go with it. Go whatever's coming in. So for me, I'm just going to use an example. I'm babysitting this morning. I need to make sure I get there in time. I am babysitting. I need to know. Blah, blah, blah. So that's say the dialogue going on. Okay, so I go with it. I see myself going to where I'm going to babysit. I see myself being with little baby. Great. But now I need to come back to focusing on my breath. So I've acknowledged what's interrupted. To bring me back to my breath in my mind, I'm going to chant Om. Om, 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 Om. So I've distracted the mind from the distraction to bring me back to my breath, back to that quietness and that calmness. And then I get to a point where I don't want to chant anymore and I would just want to focus on my breath. And then I've got the thought around getting a bus. Am I going to get the bus in time? What happens if I'm late? Da, 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 da. So I'm going with that. Yeah, I'm going to get the bus. I'm sitting on the bus. I'm going there. Da, 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 da. So I'm acknowledging what is disturbing my mind, but I'm not going off on a huge daydream with it. I'm not going to spend an hour thinking about it, because then I'm going to come in with my little chant, my little chant, my little chant. It's one sound. Om, om, om. Till eventually that wants to take a step back and I can come and focus on my breath again. So you're never trying to control the mind. And just keep going with that process. And when you feel that you might want to, let yourself lie down. Let yourself rest. Grab a blanket, snuggle. Breathing in and breathing out. Gently wiggle fingers, wiggle toes, bring awareness back into the body. Breathing in and breathing out. Not forcing, not pushing. When you're ready to roll over onto your right side, left hand comes down in front of your chest. Bring yourself up to sit. And as you come to sit, you're going to do this 3 times. You're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to lift your arms up and you're going to draw around the silhouette of your body with your hands. And you're also going to come around the front of your legs. Then the breath comes in. The breath goes out and you draw around the silhouette of your body. The breath comes in. You breathe out and you go around the silhouette of the body. And then bring the hands together in Namaste. Thank your body for its practice this morning. Well done, you guys, if you're doing it live, for getting here. Have an amazing day and Namaste. And then what we'll do next week, we'll look at taking that up a little bit more, a little bit more. So the focus will still be on the mind stuff, focus will still be on low energy, but how do we now start bringing it up a little bit more?